Again, it is never to take away from the loss of life. It is not to take away from the victims and their families, but you have got to look at this in a much more, it's never going to be fair. It's never going to be without both sides lose here. It's never going to be just one
Yeah.
side, but you cannot turn around and say that is fair, that is just. And they are going through one of the most emotional lows. And for you to turn around and say that things are being done in the cover of night, that things are fair, and that they shouldn't have any opportunity, what is that? Lock up and throw away the key? Then
Yeah.
that defeats the entire purpose of
Yeah.
transformative rehabilitation. Go ahead, Barbara.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's interesting to me how people like Summers can make comments like that. Well, they signed an agreement. Plea bargain for people like us. We know that the system is not just, it's not fair. If we don't sign that plea bargain, you're going to get probably 2 to 3 times more time because you didn't agree to the plea bargain. So people are not saying, so when you say it's a contract, let's be real. It's not a contract. It's you either say, yes, I did it, plea bargain, or you say no and go to trial, and we're going to bury you if you go to trial. Tell a 17-year-old you're getting 85 years and think that they're saying, okay, I'll take the 85 years and sign it. No, they're saying if you don't take the 85, we're going to bury you. You'll be in there for the rest of your life and beyond if we can. So let's be real about that. Getting back to commutation. Okay, so Chairman Giles was removed from his job because a few Republicans had a little problem. And that's another thing about Connecticut. Republicans are in the minority, but they seem to slap the mess out of the Democrats when it comes to anything. They win. So a few Republicans were upset about this chairman. And let me back up a little bit. I'm going to talk about two people, no, three people really, that I know already who have either been demoted or lost their jobs just in last year or about to lose their job. And they're all black. Chairman Giles, black man, did a great job with the commutations. He didn't do it on his own. He did it because the public was pushing him to do a better job. And like you said, he did a lot of interviewing. A lot of people came before him, did not get their commutations. So it's not like everybody was getting them. But a few Republicans got upset about it. And so what did they do? They removed him as chairman. Okay, now they have another woman, another person in that place, um, a white female who is now the chair. And since she's been in the chair, she's changed the policy, so it's going to be next to impossible. I don't know if you've seen the commutation policy now. It's going to be next to impossible for you to get out of prison before your time, and that's because she doesn't care anything about any kind of improvements that you made inside. She doesn't care about that you have some kind of remorse. It's always going to be about the seriousness of the crime that you committed. So that means the commutations. I think they said there was one recently that got their sentence commuted, and he's related to a DOC official, so that may be why he got his. So this is the commutation process. Okay, here's another black female, um, um, State Rep Robin Porter, removed from her chair in the position. Why? Because she pushes for the people. She is one of those politicians who went in for the people, and she continues to fight for the people with all the backlash that comes at her. So she was removed from her chair position. Okay, now we have the first black chief public defender got her position. Now she's in the news. The commission's coming at her, already reprimanded her. She's only been on the job a year, and you can see the Republicans probably got a little something to say about that. And if they have anything to do with it, she won't have her position. So the thing that bothers me even more so that they keep picking on any black leadership is that we have so much black leadership that is not saying anything. They're just silent. Where are the voices of the people? The black legislators, our white allies, so-called allies. Where are they? Where are even the public to say why you keep going after our black leadership, taking them out of their position? Silence. So I'm just seeing all of this stuff. To me, those are public lynchings of our people, and ain't nobody got a word to say about it. So
Barbara,
I'm upset about that also.
I have to add to that because what you were just talking about this new commutation policy. So before that even occurred, and before Senator Somers was out in the public media, in the newspaper, as well as out there, I had this conversation with her in May, June, and I saw one of the juvenile parole hearings. Right, I was watching. It looked like a bloodbath. It was. You might as well say there were piranhas let loose on not an innocent individual, but you might as well someone who was unsuspecting. So, at least when Giles went into the facilities, he knew what was going on. He knew about programs. And I will say that because I met the entire parole board when I went to the sentencing symposium last year at UConn Law. Everybody were there. This is just before this all went down. When one of the women, and this is what frightens me with what you just said, Barbara, about our Black leadership, a woman of color who was on the juvenile parole board was adamant that this young woman had chosen not to get a program that would have addressed one of her underlying issues. What she failed to recognize, again, at York Correction, the only female facility in the state of Connecticut, that York has two sides to it, the East and the West. And if you're a certain level, you're not allowed on the East side. Now, this young woman was a mentor in the 18 to 25 unit. She was a juvenile when she went in, and she was one of the first leading mentors as a young woman, mentoring these kids. That wasn't a choice for her. That was a program she joined, but she was a level 4-5 at the time. She ended up getting a commutation under Giles, which was great. However, as a result of his removal, these people were saying, well, you have mental health, you have substance abuse. Why didn't you go to Marilyn Baker? Marilyn Baker is an East Side program. Unless you're a level 2 and below or a level 3 with certain almost end of sentence, this young woman had 27 years. There was no way, at the time she had only served like 14. Under no circumstances was she ever going to be eligible to be able to go to Marilyn Baker unless she was close to the end of her time. The ignorance of the parole board to insist that she made the choice that she wasn't going to get this program. She couldn't. Her level was never going to be low enough. And the fact that the parole board was adamant that she made this decision heroic. She didn't make this decision. It was out of her hands. The fact that they knew nothing about this.
And that's it. Yep. That's it. You're in control. You're in the lead. You're cheering, but you're ignorant to the facts about what people can get and what they can't. I just want to let you know we have 3 minutes left. So I'm trying to see what to touch on with that, only that we can end up on time. So one other thing I quickly wanted to talk about, I don't know if you're aware of it. I'm also noticing preventative detention happening. Preventative detention is somebody gets arrested. Everybody in Connecticut, unless it's a capital crime, should get bail. Well, they're trying to slide in preventative detention, which means, well, we're not going to get this person bail because we want to prevent them from committing crime. That's not supposed to be happening, but I can see Connecticut sliding that in. And I know of people who are in prison right now with no bail, no capital crime, and yet it's allowed. So I'm really concerned because I see Connecticut law just going backwards and backwards and backwards, and nobody's addressing it. I write op-eds all the time. I don't know why people are not saying anything. Maybe it's the ignorance. Maybe they don't know that these things are happening. But that's what's happening. And I just got this thing that it's time to end. So I'm so sorry we have to do this again. When you're talking about jails and prisons and everybody ain't talking about it, it takes a lot of time. But thank you so much to Tom to give us this opportunity. And thank you both for coming on today. Have a great day.
As I got another rhyme, another rhythm for y'all to listen. I'm never quitting on my mission. I'm a